I've had this car for 7 months now. For those who don't know, I bought this car secondhand with 157,000 kilometers, which is as near as makes no difference, 100,000 miles. And it replaced a car that was just like it, except with a different engine and different trim level. So this is a sort of a 7-month update, 7-month situation report, if you will. Why 7 months? Why not 9 or 24 or 17 and 3/4? Well, I was going to make a 6-month update because it's a nice round number, you know, half a year, but I forgot, so here we are. Now, when you buy a car secondhand, it's not unusual for the car to have some kind of significant fault. Something's broken. Usually that's why people sell cars. And of course, sometimes they're not that honest about why they're selling it. So you buy the car thinking it's fine, and it turns out it's got some major mechanical failure. Anyway, in the case of this car, there was one thing that wasn't in good nick, and that was the front left suspension arm. And that had to be replaced by the mechanic. I can't do it myself. It was very expensive because he had to buy an original part from Citroën. So it all came out about 500 euros, 450. I don't remember how much, but it was in that region. So that wasn't that brilliant. But all the other small faults I've fixed myself, and they've all been documented on this channel. For example, the passenger wing mirror. I fixed that. That was very satisfying indeed. That mirror packed in 2 days after I bought the car, and it turned out you had to actually, you know, take the mirror apart. It was brilliant. Anyway, watch the video if you like. Clickety click, you know the drill. It's probably not your first time on YouTube. Another thing I fixed was the switchgear on the driver's side, because the one-touch window thing wasn't working here. That was easy. Both hinges on the passenger side doors, front and rear. Also, there are videos documenting those fixes. The gear knob. I actually have the replacement gear knob that I bought from AliExpress. There are other sources of fake gear knobs available. This is a knockoff. It's very light and it doesn't fit properly. It doesn't actually grapple onto the actual stick the way it should, so I'm not too happy with that. And what I did, I got the old gear knob, I got the old gear knob and I printed a new round bit, so now it looks rather lovely and it feels nice as well. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better than the knockoff Chinese one. Not everything is hunky-dory. There still are things that I have to fix in the car. Now, some of them I will have to farm out. I have to give them to my mechanic to do because I'm not sure I have the skill for them. And I'd rather not risk it. I'd rather just say to my mechanic, you do it, than me getting halfway through the job and realizing that I am unable to finish. That would be rather disastrous. Anyway, the jobs that I've got lined up. The rear defroster grid. I've started that. I started doing the rear defroster grid, and I began the repair when the weather was sunny, and then I had to wait for it to rain for me to be able to test it properly. And it didn't seem to work very well. There were still loads of lines missing. So I'm going to probably have to remove some of the trim around the defroster to see if there's any part of the grid that's broken beneath the trim. And that converges with another job that I have, which is the rear hose that feeds the rear window washer nozzle. That's ruptured somewhere. It's a common fault on these cars. It was in my old car as well, my previous Tourer, and it's going on here. And I have to remove the trim to get to the place where the pipe is broken. So I can do both things at the same time. But I'm going to wait for the weather to be just slightly warmer. It's very cold and miserable right now. We're in early March, but it doesn't feel like spring at all in the Northern Hemisphere, obviously. Another thing I'm going to have to wait for sunny weather as well, the yellow cloudy headlamps. They really need doing, because I'm afraid I might get, you know, a bollocking if I take the car to the local equivalent of the MOT. So anyway, I've already got the kit. I'm just waiting for the rain to stop. So I don't want to apply that clear coat and then have it rain on it. That would not be ideal. As for the jobs I won't be able to do myself, there are two of them. First job is the handbrake. Well, it's not a handbrake, it's an electronic parking brake. And it's one of those things I don't really like too much in the car, but I've gotten used to it. But a couple of months ago in traffic, it suddenly seized. I had been stopped in traffic with the handbrake on. I set off and it re-engaged. So I came to a complete stop. I'm lucky no one smashed into the back of me. Happened twice in a few seconds. Switched the car off, switched it back on, seemed to solve the problem. Never happened again. Then a week or so ago, I got into the car after it had been parked up all day out in the street. Turned the car on. All these alarms came on, all these, warnings, ESP, ABS is broken, parking brake is faulty. Switched the car off, turned it back on. The error persisted, but when I put the car into gear and drove off, all was hunky-dory. So anyway, I phoned up my mechanic, and in a few days I'm going to actually take the car to him so he can have a look, see if there's anything that's not as it should be. Of course, I have absolutely no way of diagnosing this because I don't have the Diagbox tool, which would be nice. There's actually a video where I document how I was swindled. So, clickety clickety. And the other remaining job is this, the driver's seatbelt. You can see it's probably frayed. I don't know if you can see it, but it is coming apart. Now, I have seen a video from my good friend Mr. Nicehearted, and by the way, if you haven't checked out his channel, you should. He's got some absolutely amazing Citroen C5 videos, very, very in-depth videos of how to fix, big things on this car. It's amazing. One of which is the seatbelt. But I don't know if I can pull that off. I'm a bit nervous because, it's got that pre-tensioner system, and if I bollocks it up, I will never forgive myself. So my mechanic's going to have to take care of that. To conclude the video, just like to comment how this car still feels incredibly tight, incredibly well made. It still feels, I wouldn't say factory fresh, but very close. Everything still feels very well put together, very un-Citroen-esque. And as I've said in the past, I'm no stranger to Citroen interior quality, because I grew up in Citroens basically, and this is incredibly well built. So there's absolutely nothing to report regarding that is worthy of reporting. Does that make sense? I don't even know. Anyway, there is one thing actually that's got on my nerves. It's a very small aside, and you probably think I'm a bit mad for saying this, but this is not the original radio. This is an RNEG2. The car came with an RNEG, or My Way, and this is also called an RT6, this RNEG2. And it had one major drawback. It did not stream music via Bluetooth. And I am a massive Spotify fan. Other services are available, by the way. I like to discover new music. And this has a shortcoming regarding that. It does not exhibit the track title or artists, and I like to see that when I'm discovering new music. My previous radio, which by all accounts should be a lot less sophisticated, was an RD45, and all it had was a little monochrome display. That exhibited the track title, and I missed that. And I know what I'm like. I began thinking, ways of somehow working around this limitation. Nothing can be done using the RNEG2. You can't update the firmware. It just can't be modified to exhibit that information. There's nothing I can do. To conclude completely now, very last thing I swear, the cup holder's working very well. I'm very happy with that. I haven't removed it at all since I installed it. It's been brilliant. It's a cup holder / smartphone holder. Works very well. And you can get a 3D printable model file to print it out yourself in 3D. I'll leave the link below. Some shameless plugging. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, etc. And I bid you farewell until a future video.